are the linesmen.
Today we're going to see what it truly means to play with a home ground advantage, being that the Uruguayans have not lost in the stadium since 1932. You can imagine every tackle they win, every shot they take is going to be cheered upon by the entire stands, and that's something that Brazil has to contend with. But Brazil has played very well. They have a lot of veteran leadership. I've mentioned many times before, Jorginho and Dunga, in my opinion, are the backbone of this team and really dictate what goes on. And then you have the young players like Juninho and newcomer Edmundo, Roberto Carlos, who recently has been rumored to have signed with Inter Milan. A combination of youth and veteran players that Brazil has, it just makes this for a tremendous game, as you see what kind of crowd Brazil has to play against as well.
But Brazil has to be rather used to this, because almost every time they take the field, almost anywhere, the stands are bound to be packed. You can see a little bit of a delay as they get set to start this matchup. 65,000 people in the stadium here today. The temperatures in the lower 50s, and that is rather warm for what has been a wet and cold South American winter. The Brazilians dropping back towards their own zone, knocking it upfield where it's intercepted. Pushed up forward. Let's take a quick look at the two goalkeepers in this matchup today, as Mendez setting it back into the Brazilian zone. Fernando Alves, the 35-year-old from River Plate, 4 wins, 1 draw, and a .50 goals against average. A foul could have been advantage, but they will call the foul, and it will be a free kick for the Uruguayans just on the edge of the touchline, as Taffarel on the other end lines up his defense. Quickly taken, they'll knock it into the corner. Deflection over the end line and a corner kick for Uruguay. Taffarel, 2 wins, 1 draw, and a .67 goals against average. He gave up 2 goals against Argentina. Those are the only 2 goals that have been given up by Brazil the whole tournament. Cleared away by the defense. Juninho coming over to try and pick it up. Can't get there in time. It'll be a throw-in once again for Uruguay. Taffarel with some brief problems against Argentina, but for the most part, the Brazilian defense has been rock solid. Throwing over Roberto Carlos will go over the end line. It'll be a goal kick for Taffarel. In fact, Taffarel had been forced to sit out the first 2 games because of a FIFA-mandated suspension. Dida, the young 21-year-old, steps up and promptly shuts out Ecuador and Peru.
There's another example. No matter who takes the field for Brazil, as said before, you really can't find 11 bad Brazilian soccer players.
Copa America action on Prime Deportiva and on pay-per-view, brought to you by Budweiser, bringing you the passion of soccer, the passion of Copa America. Budweiser, this Bud's for you. Roberto Carlos, he has been one of the finds for this Brazilian squad, and one of the finds perhaps for the world, with the wonderful tournament he's had so far. Tries to rifle the throw in. It's headed back. The Uruguayans trying to put some touches together, but stolen away. Dunga dropping it back to Roberto Carlos. Mainly just a left-footed player. He has shown very little touch with the right foot, but the left foot a cannon. And when he doesn't score, it's still dangerous if he puts it anywhere in front. Foul against the Brazilians. This one will go against Aldair. It'll be a free kick just across the center stripe. Second foul against Brazil, and Francescoli having a few words. Enzo Francescoli, at 33 years of age, many people thought he was washed up. The European continent had their fill with him. He goes back to River Plate, rediscovers some scoring touch there, and right now, with a couple of goals, as Taffarel cuts in front of Fonseca to pick up the loose ball. Francescoli has been one of the heroes for Uruguay. A couple of goals, creating others. In fact, if it wasn't for his play, there was a risk that they'd even get past Bolivia in the quarterfinals. Foul against Uruguay. Mauricio whistles. It'll be a free kick for Brazil, and Juninho getting set to take it.
Anytime you have one of your veteran players, such as Francescoli at age 33, performing the way he does.
Into space. Right near the end line. Tulio can't get there before it's kicked over. Double teamed by Gutierrez and Moas.
Anytime you have one of your veteran players perform the way he has, it inspires everybody else to maybe dig down a little deeper, figuring if he can do it at his age, I definitely have to do more.
Zinho, solid game against the U.S. in the semifinals. Getting set to left-foot it into the box. This will curl towards Fernando Alves. Going towards the back post. Alves punches it straight up into the air. Bumped into Tulio. And it will be a foul and a free kick just at the edge of the 6-yard box.
We saw during the tournament this field is not in ideal conditions. And if that's going to hurt anybody, it's going to hurt Brazil a little bit more, being that their play is a little bit more suited for ideal grass and players like Juninho, who are tremendous dribblers. So obviously I think it would have been nicer to see this game being played on yesterday's field, which is an absolute carpet compared to this field. As you can see down both sidelines, there's been patches that were put in right before this tournament started and really haven't taken root.
Roberto Carlos throwing it in down into the corner, and Mundo tripped up, pushed and shoved from behind by Herrera. Tackle from behind. Roberto Carlos draws an elbow, and pushing and shoving, and Arturo Bricio earning his pay early on as both sides going at each other. Sampaio coming over, and it's interesting, the man who drew the red card in his last time out, the man trying to settle the peace, and Roberto Carlos coming in late at Mundo. No doubt about the foul from behind on Herrera, and Roberto Carlos helping out his forward.
We're going to see a nice bird's eye view. Oh, we missed it. We just saw Roberto Carlos starting to fly into that tackle.
Yeah, in case you were wondering what type of boots he was wearing, you probably would have had a nice chance to see the bottom with the name all printed out. But the yellow card foul coming in the 6th minute against Roberto Carlos. Pushed forward, Otero takes it away. Deflection, back toward Francesco. Dunga comes away with it and lifts it up the near touchline with the left foot. It'll be a throw-in for Uruguay, and you can hear the crowd getting into it. Mendez with the throw, gets the return, lifting it forward, taken away by Sampaio, but handball, and it will be a free kick. Looked like Poyet just reached up. Taffarel was started from the goal area. Riccio says okay, and the Brazilians coming up the right wing. Juninho. Jorginho pushing forward. Instead, he'll go to the middle. Sinho. With all the offensive playmakers that Brazil has on the field right now, Juninho, Sinho, and on the outside, Roberto Carlos and Jorginho, it's going to be pretty tough for the Uruguayans to find out who to mark. The ball a little too long. It'll be a goal kick for Alves.
Well, that's been one of the success aspects of this Brazilian team. They have quality players everywhere on the field. In the center with Dunga and Juninho, and of course Jorginho and Roberto Carlos attacking up and down the sidelines. So it does spread out a defense.
Moaz coming out. Far side, Jorginho. Jorginho cuts back to the inside. Holds on to possession, dropping it back to Aldair, but not before a foul, and you see Jorginho acting out what he thought happened.
Hopefully the referee will take care of all this very soon, because you do not want this game deteriorating into a hackfest, because both teams have players that can kick, and that's not what this final should be about.
Up the right wing, Juninho lifting it forward, intended for Jorginho, but knocked out of bounds. A throw in for Brazil, about even with the top of the box. Juninho lifting it in towards the penalty spot, just over Tulio's head. Roberto Carlos on the left foot, blasts it through, deflected back. Off the Uruguayan player and out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for Brazil. Sinho will leave it for Roberto Carlos. Between Juninho and Roberto Carlos, you're talking about two relative youngsters. As the throw-in into the corner. Mundo has the ball taken off of his boot. Throw-in right above the corner flag. Roberto Carlos 22, Juninho 22, and Herrera does draw that yellow card for the hard tackle. That'll be at the same moment as Roberto Carlos's yellow. The tackle on Edmundo early on. Nice play by Roberto Carlos, but he can't get there. Shoved off by Mendez. It'll be played on, and a goal kick for Alves. Once again, setting the lineups. Alves in goal. Mendez, Herrera, Moaz, and Silva the defense. Porta, Gutierrez, Poyet, and Adenalfi. Had been scheduled to start, but Donald Fonseca in the lineup. And the ball to the outside, sent across the middle, and almost knocked in, but knocking it wide, Andre Cruz surrendering the throw. It looked like like there were some Uruguayan players right there, Otero being one of them.
And Andre Cruz does a good job here of clearing that ball away from his own goal. He's facing his own goal. Many times you see defenders knock that right into their own goal. He did a good job of making sure that ball goes wide.
Near side, Francescoli, the header, cleared out of danger, still on the right wing. Enzo towards the middle, looking for his third Copa America title. 83, 87, and hoping for 95. Tripped up, foul called. This one will go against Dunga, Brazilian captain. Uruguayans dressed in their familiar sky blue jerseys with dark blue shorts, moving from the left to the right in half number one. Francescoli setting up Fonseca earlier on in this tournament. The header over the bar, and Taffarel gathers for the goal kick intended for Otero when he could not direct it on net.
And Uruguay has done a very good job here in the first 10 minutes of trying to establish the pace and not let Brazil establish that. If you let Brazil start to dictate from the first minute, it's very difficult to get them out of sync. Uruguay has done a very good job of pushing the play, pressuring Brazil, and not letting them look up and have time.
Headed back. Sampaio there to push forward to Edmundo. Nice touch, bangs it off of Mendez, lifting it up with the outside of the foot. Roberto Carlos is there, back heels it over the end line, trying to hold on to possession. They'll say it went off of Mendez, and another corner kick for the Brazilians, but some nice touch there with Mundo and Roberto Carlos. Last year played for Palmeiras. Next year, word is he'll be moving on to Inter Milan. Lifted up towards the back post, Alves grabs hold and sends it up quickly down the far wing. Astorrinho, Aldair coming over to help. Into the middle to Fonseca. Taken away by Sampaio. Dunga wins the ball and gets it back. Tulio to the outside, gets the return pass, just a little too much on it. Herrera gets there first, some pushing and shoving, and the foul will go against Tulio as Herrera's on the turf.
That may be the softest foul we see this entire game.
Fifth foul against Brazil. 3 of them against Uruguay. Midway through the 12th minute, Herrera receiving some treatment. For Brazil, the starting lineup, Taffarel in goal, Jorginho and Roberto Carlos on the outside, Aldair and Andre Cruz in the middle. Cesar Sampaio in the defensive portion of the midfield with Dunga, Sinho, and Juninho creating. Tulio and Edmundo up front. Savio had started every game to this point. Had drawn a lot of fouls, created some dangerous opportunities, but just seemed too hesitant to take the shot. That has not been a problem for Tulio.
No, every time Tulio has gone in, he's been lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time and create his own chances as well.
And to tell you the truth, from that replay, looked like a legitimate shoulder charge, maybe a little bit of a push. But Herrera realizing that if he did not get the foul, Tulio would have had a wide open path back to the box. Aldair heading it up in the air over the end, over the sideline. Looks like they're going to whistle a foul instead, though, and a free kick. Nope, they'll stick with the throw. Tabaré Silva on the outside, lifting it in with the left boot, taken away by Sampaio. He'll leave it off, and they'll pass it up front. Juninho cutting in past Silva, splits the legs, and shielded. It should be obstruction, and it will be a free kick. But you're starting to see some of the magic that has mesmerized much of Brazil. Looks like a substitute, perhaps coming on early. Aguirre Garay, a defender, might be coming in for Jose Herrera if he was seriously hurt. Sinho on the near side. Roberto Carlos tries to lift it up and above Eber Moaz. Brazilians hold on, even though he was unsuccessful. With the left foot towards the top of the goal area. Cleared out of danger by Gutierrez and headed back up into the air. Dunga comes in, and they're going to call a foul. Dunga apparently drawing the elbow. Sampaio having a few words, and Arturo Bricio saying, hey, I called the foul on them. Both of these teams coming in with 4 win and 1 tie. Elbows all the way around, and Poyet called for that one. fourth foul against Uruguay as Alves lines up his defensive wall. Just a two-man wall might not be a bad idea. Fonseca even dropping back as they try and mark up Roberto Carlos. He'll use the left foot. Blasts it on the outside, deflected towards the near side. Sent back in by Roberto Carlos. A little bit of communication problem. Gutierrez spins back inside the box and pushes it forward. The Uruguayans a little lucky there. Francescoli dropping it back towards Gutierrez. It's pushing and shoving, or actually Mendez looking to throw an elbow, and Roberto Carlos not pleased.
Watch when he lands there. He just lands right with his arm right on his head. And that,
obviously unintentional.
Yes. By South American standards, of course.
Given away by Sampaio. Spun into the middle. Taken away. Jorginho across the center circle. Intended for Edmundo. Back to Dunga. Zinho can't control it. The Uruguayans take it away. 55-year-old Hector Nunez, the head coach for Uruguay, and to this point it has been a very even matchup for both of these teams. Neither team has had too many clean opportunities on goal. Brazilians may be looking a little bit more dangerous. Jorginho, just in case Alves was coming out, keeping him honest, and some whistles from the 65,000 people in attendance.
If Brazil has one weakness or one disadvantage going against Uruguay in this game, is the fact that up front Brazil is not exactly tall, and putting those balls one after another in the air is only going to favor the Uruguayans. Their center backs are on the tall side, especially Moaz. He's probably about 6'2", 6'3". So I foresee Brazil trying to maybe play that ball on the ground. As you've seen, most of Roberto Carlos's crosses are on the ground.
Trying for deflection just any way to get it in the box. Silva can't control it, and the Brazilians get a throw. Juninho with Jorginho outside will use him in a quick touch back to Juninho. It's some green space in front. Triple team, the ball taken off of his boot. Nice play by the Uruguayan defense, pushing it forward. Sampaio deflects it right near the center flag. Still scoreless. 16 minutes in. Jorginho coming over for the throw. Roberto Carlos flicks it back. Edmundo back into the midfield. Gets the return pass and lifts it out towards the right side. Jorginho back to Edmundo. The back heel to Zinho. Lifted into the area. Offside. Tulio gets the shot just wide, but the whistle blows. Phil Shane, Renato Capobianco bringing you live English language coverage on pay-per-view, brought to you by Prime Deportiva. This will be the end of the Uruguay 95 final, and to tell you the truth, Tulio was not offside, and according to the books it shouldn't have mattered where Edmundo was because he was not involved in the play. The shot still goes wide, however, and Alves gets a lucky break there on both halves. To the near side, Fonseca brings it back with the left foot. Could have been deflected into the middle, and Andre Cruz sends it over into touch. Playing it safe that time. This is the final game of the 95 Copa America, but 1998, the year 2000, once again coming your way on Prime Deportiva. This January, the Gold Cup, the Super Cup also upcoming. Roberto Carlos back to the end line. Knocked out of bounds by Francescoli, and a goal kick for Taffarel. Also coverage of Argentina, Spain, Mexico, Central America, and Europe. Exclusive coverage coming your way on Prime Deportiva. To find out how to get Prime Deportiva, call your local cable company for details. Uruguay 95 action being brought to you by Chevy Trucks. Solid like a rock. That's basically been the way both defenses have been here in this tournament. Uruguay's given up 3 goals, Brazil 2. Juninho looking for a target, gets it to Dunga. Juninho making himself available and gets the ball, spun back to Dunga. And as you can see with the Brazilians, it's one touch and it seems like there's 10 Valderramas on the field. One touch and find the open man. The deflection as Mendez cannot clear it. The near side, Zinho. Little touch back and Zinho tripped up. Play on as Sampaio, the only man there. Sampaio, more of a defensive midfielder, sends it into space, and I think now we know why. Roberto Carlos can't get there. Coming from behind, Gutierrez sends it back upfield. Headed back towards Taffarel in the box. He'll slow it down. Aldair using his head in more ways than one. Aldair, the hero against the United States, along with Juninho. Jorginho on an overlap. Blasted up the left wing, and offside is called.
Uruguayans have to be concerned a little bit that they're not getting the ball up enough for one primary reason, obviously, to be a little bit more attacking, but Fonseca does have the hamstring injury, and it is about 50 degrees there. If he doesn't see the ball but every 10 minutes, every time he's going to run for it, he's going to be cold, and all the more reason for that hamstring to maybe get re-aggravated. He's got to get involved a little bit more in the play just to keep warm so that hamstring does not become a problem.
Tulio banging into Silva. Risa coming over, having a few words with Tulio, saying don't seek any retaliation. Will we play on? A warm day for a Uruguayan winter. At game time, 65 degrees and a 66% humidity. Rather comfortable compared to the way things have gone at Mundo. Ball taken off of his foot. Herrera back in action. Zinho lifts it up with the outside to Sampaio. He's pressured. Fonseca pushing him all the way back, and he'll drop it back to Andre Cruz. We'll let it run to Taffarel. Brazilians dressed in their yellow jerseys and blue shorts, moving from the right to the left in half number one. Taffarel, Jorginho, Aldair, Andre Cruz, Roberto Carlos, Sampaio, Dunga, Zinho, Juninho, Tulio, and Edmundo. The outside, Juninho into the box, lifts it in, across play, looking for Roberto Carlos, but before it gets through the box, it's over the end line, and another corner for Brazil.
And there you see one of the very admirable aspects of Uruguayan defense. Even though they're on a breakaway, they're able to look at how many players Uruguay has back there. That looked like a counterattack, but Uruguay did a very good job to get back on defense.
Short corner, but it's taken away, and here come the Uruguayans the other way. Aldair misses the tackle, but knocks it loose just enough. Juninho all the way back, and he'll swing it back towards the left side. The touch by Roberto Carlos. Quickly into the offensive side. Edmundo, Tulio pushed off the ball. Edmundo sends it to the outside, and Brazil up with numbers. Cutting inside to the left foot, looking for Zinho. The ball taken away. Zinho wins it back, and offside. Edmundo and Tulio both standing there. That one might have been a little closer, as the defenders had to think about it. And actually, legitimate call. That has been a problem here as far as officiating in Uruguay 95. Several questionable offsides. And once again, it's the game in whole. As one referee will call a yellow card for one foul, and the next referee, the exact same foul, won't even call it. Zinho, the deflection. Brazilians caught offside again. Second time in the game so far. Touch forward from Juninho to Jorginho, knocked away. Outside, Silva knocked to the turf. And it will be a foul against Juninho. The little man stands 5'5". Put a soccer ball at his feet, and he's just as big as anyone. Silva coming in game two. Has played a very solid game in the left back position for Uruguay. A physical back. Otero calling for the ball in the air. And Taffarel has had problems in the air so far in this tournament. Uncharacteristically. Otero cuts it back into the left foot, fires the shot, and lifted well over the bar. Past the midway point of half number one. Still scoreless. Uruguay 0, Brazil 0. This is the 28th championship for Brazil. They've won 4 of them, 19, 22, 49, and 1989, the most recently, after a 40-year absence in the trophy case. 74 wins, 26 ties, and 38 losses in the tournament. To the near side, Mendez pushing it inside. The return pass taken away by Roberto Carlos. Knocks it off, but it's still in play. Sent across and picked off by Andre Cruz, and heel left booted up across the midfield stripe. Tulio was blocked away. Comes down to Francesco. His pass back, taken away by Dunga. Pushed forward towards Edmundo, and nice play in the back. Gutierrez pushing it forward.
Now the game's starting to open up a little bit there in midfield. You see very little pressure compared to the first 10-15 minutes of the game.
Mendez leaving it off for Francesco, and they'll drop it back to Poyet. Actually, Dortha. Taken away, Sampaio, Juninho, Zinho, and quickly over to Edmundo. They don't spend much time with the ball at their feet. Edmundo double teamed, tries to spin past Eber Moaz, and he's seen that before. The 26-year-old from America de Cali knocks it into touch, and a throw-in for Brazil. He has been one of the most solid defenders in this tournament so far. Still in play. Now they're finally going to say it went over in the end line. It'll be a goal kick. Herrera just wanted to be sure. You mentioned that Uruguayan defense, and Moaz might not be the best of the best known of the Uruguayan defenders. Herrera playing over in Serie A at Cagliari. But he has been the rock in the middle of that defense, and seems to almost be psychic, knowing when to come out and when to drop back.
Oh, is that a very good tournament?
Francesco into the middle to the near side. Now they'll use Fonseca. Back to Poyet, looking for Fonseca again. However, the pass from Mendez taken away by Brazil. Pushing it forward towards the stripe. Edmundo tries to spin past Moaz, and once again knocking the ball out into touch. He's not just looking to knock the ball out, he's trying to knock it off of Edmundo, and actually does, and Mendez will get the throw. For Uruguay, they've been in 34 Copa Americas. They've won 13 of them, 19, 16, 17, 20, 23, 24, 26. In the 30s, they won in 1935. As Juninho wins it back, pushing to Tulio, but a foul call. He's not happy at all, saying he's held. Lucio having a few words with Juninho, and might be getting a little too emotional at the Mexican referee. Over into touch, a throw in on the far side for Brazil. The Uruguayans also won in 42, 56, 59, 67, and then a 16-year absence, winning back again in 83 and 87, and they have not won in 7 years, looking for their 14th cup. Aldair knocking it back to Juninho. Sampaio, Zinho in the middle of the field. Roberto Carlos calling for help on the outside as he moves back to the inside. Lifted up by Zinho towards Edmundo, and the ball just hops a little too much. But Edmundo wins it back. Can't get past Herrera. And the ball cleared back up towards midfield by Uruguay. Worked it to the far side. Fonseca is open. Sends it to the middle, but Dunga wins it back. Fonseca on the loose ball. Fonseca, one of the stars of the tournament early. He had 2 goals, including what at this point might be the goal of the tournament, as he scored against Bolivia. Free kick about 30 yards out. Francesco lifts it up, and Fonseca volleys it in, bouncing it over the keeper. But he has not looked as active as he had been earlier on in the tournament, still showing some after effects of the groin pull. Juninho for Brazil. Juninho pushing it in. Dortha wins it back for Uruguay. Copa America action on pay-per-view, brought to you by Prime de Fortiva and brought to you by AT&T. Quality, service, savings, and experience. AT&T, your true choice. down the left wing, lifted towards the box. The header on goal, and Tafarel was right there.
And right there, Uruguay doing a good job of taking advantage of that matchup right there. Brazil does not want Carlos Dunga outside trying to close somebody down. The one thing he does not have is speed.
And you see Fonseca to Francescoli, and Andre Cruz somehow seemed like cement blocks on his boot as Francescoli was able to sky high in the air, and solid positioning from Tafarel. As we take a look at the reverse angle, and Aldair uncharacteristically letting the cross get into the middle of the box. And Brazil lucky to be still in a scoreless draw. 30 minutes in, still scoreless in the Uruguay 95 final, but there have been opportunities. Roberto Carlos knocking it back to Juninho, lifting it towards the top of the 18, chested down, the return pass to Edmundo, he's onside, lifts it up to the outside, and it's chested in, or is it off the arm? It's going to be a goal. Dorta protesting. Brizio says it's a goal for Brazil.
There we see once again Brazil's ability to, with a simple give and go, doesn't matter where, they could be surrounded by light blue jerseys, they're going to try it, and they're very successful at it. Watch here.
Chested down by Edmundo, the return pass, tries to lift it towards goal, but sends it to the far post, and a clean call. Unlike Tulio's hand of God 2 goal, this one straight off the chest, and Tulio puts Brazil in the lead. Brazil 1 and Uruguay nothing. And once again, Mario Zagallo has to wonder why he didn't have Tulio starting the whole tournament. His 3rd goal, 1 behind the leaders. They don't ask how, they just ask if.
And here you'll see Alves already starting to point.
From that angle, it looks like he had to knock it in off his hand, but if you look a little bit from this side, it looks like he just chests it in a beautiful goal. Credit going to Edmundo for breaking past the defender and finding Tulio open on the back post.
This is really going to bring the pace of this game up, and now you're going to hear the crowd get into it even more. Every pass Uruguay will make, every dribble that they will make, every shot that they will make, they're going to get the crowd into this game, and now Brazil is going to have to contend with that even more. But what this forces the Uruguayans to do is to start pushing up maybe a little bit more than they want. Remember, they like keeping numbers up in the defense. Uruguay loves to have 5, 6, 7 players close down the space in the back, and if they want to push forward now, they're really going to have to pull some of those players out into the midfield and go forward a little bit more to look for the equalizing goal.
Tabaré Silva, the 20-year-old from Defensor Sporting in Uruguay, the injured player. They would take him off the field on a stretcher. Once again, Herrera was banged up early. And if you were forced to push up with some ailing defenders, Brazil can eat you alive. Yellow card foul on Sinho, clipping the heels of Francescoli, and some of the complaining apparently working. The yellow card in the 33rd minute. 2nd against Brazil.
Watch here on the replay.
And that was Silva.
Clearly a chest ball.
And you see Silva swinging his leg, actually kneed Tulio as the free kick curling in towards the back post, headed on goal, and just past Fonseca, Tafarel for the goal kick. It looked like might have been a slight hyperextension perhaps as Silva's leg struck Tulio, but the knee might have kept bending, and that might be one of the reasons why the trainer was grabbing his knee as they took him off the field. The kick into touch on the far side. It'll be a throw-in for Uruguay as they play a man down in the 33rd minute. Gary Garay, the 35-year-old defender from Peñarol, had been warming up just in case Herrera needed to come out. Might have to take off the warm-ups one more time with Silva, the youngster, on the sideline. Foul against Brazil, their 7th, and it does not look good for Tabaré Silva. Jorginho pushing forward. Once again, this is where Silva normally defends, but Uruguay covering the hole pretty well. Jorginho lifting it back up as Brazil tries to test the weak spot in the Uruguayan defense, and offside is called as Fonseca not happy with it. And they're going to bring in Adenalfi, and once again the change might have a little bit more to do with the fact they're a goal down as well. So Edgardo Adenalfi, the 21-year-old from River Plate, can't play defense, was put into a midfield role and ended up scoring the first goal for Uruguay in their 2-0 victory over Colombia in the semifinals. One of the nicest plays of the tournament, Francescoli just turning the defense around, pushing and shoving on the near side. It'll be a foul called. Zinho not happy with it. The elbow not seen. That push was. And another foul. Dunga coming in. That's the one thing, as Francescoli has a few words for Arturo Mauricio. The Brazilians, not a very physical team, but the one thing is, if you try and play physical against them, they have more than enough bodies in the back to return the favor. And another foul right at the edge of the area as Uruguay moving up. Free kick for free kick. This is a dangerous opportunity. It was about 10 yards further away that Francescoli lifted it up for Fonseca. This one probably more in a shooting territory. Tabaré Silva out of the game in the 34th minute, and entering in 21-year-old Edgardo Adenalfi. And now in minute number 36, Fonseca and Francescoli at the top of the arc. This is probably one of the most dangerous locations because you really can't pick a side. It's right up in the middle, and Taffarel's going to have to stand in the middle and keep his fingers crossed. Fonseca lining up for the left-footed boot. Francescoli on the right. Riccio happy with the wall and blows the whistle. Francescoli lifting it towards the post and just trickling wide. He saw the opening, but unsuccessful at putting it on net. Drawing a few whistles from the crowd.
Right there you saw Francescoli hoping that Taffarel would maybe take a jab step to his left, anticipating Taffarel going to that side. Still went for the far post.
Mendez throwing it in, headed back by Dunga, and Roberto Carlos brings it down for Brazil. His pass across the area intended for Tulio, taken away by Uruguay, and another tripping foul. Mendez taken down by Zinho. Foul number 11 in the first half against Brazil. How often do you see Uruguay on the short end of the foul list? Lifted forward, Francescoli stopped, and it rolls all the way back past Andre Cruz to Taffarel. Phil Shane, Renato Capobianco, bringing you live English language play-by-play coverage on Fran Deportiva's pay-per-view broadcast of Copa America 95. The next two tournaments is a beautiful play by Edmundo, bringing it down to the right foot, trying to push it past, and foul, and a take down right at the edge of the area. It'll be about 25 yards out. And the Brazilians having an opportunity, as we see what everyone else in the world is starting to discover. Romario and Bebeto are not the only ones.
Right there, Moa's had a good chase at him. The ball's gone already. He just keeps following through, and this is not the place where you want to give any member of the Brazilian team a shot on goal.
Alves lining up the wall, fifth foul against the Uruguayans. Roberto Carlos can shoot with the left, Juninho with the right. And Edmundo just making sure he knows what's going on. Juninho most likely the one who will take this shot, as he can bend it around a corner. Does take it, looking for the post. And Alves picks it off. You can hear it slap the gloves as he got some speed on it, and a lot of people comparing him perhaps all the way back to Didi and Garrincha as far as the spin that Juninho can put on that. Those are some of the Brazilian greats, and he's only 22 years of age. Imagine what they'll say when he turns 23. Solid play by Andre Cruz, drawing the throw.
They'll say he's over the hill. We got 5 more guys waiting to take your spot.
And Alves, a nice play coming to the near post. About 6 minutes from time in the first half. There has been some injury time, however. Mentioned the 1998 and 2000 Cups will be broadcast on Prime Deportiva. The Gold Cup in January, the Super Cup. Call your local cable operator for details. Headed clear across the sideline. It'll be a throw-in for Jorginho. Knocks it back to Juninho. Back to Dunga. Dunga finds Jorginho on the flank. Behind Juninho, and it will go the other way. It's quickly up front. The pass to Francescoli on the left wing. Sends it to the middle to Otero. Otero on the right foot. Nice play by Sampaio to take the ball away before he could get the shot off. Otero likes to shoot from there, but did not get the opportunity. Gutierrez coming out and going back with the foul. It'll be a free kick. The foul on Dorta, right in the middle of the park. Zinho with a quick touch, not much contact, but the intent was there. Edmundo to Tulio, gets the pass back. Tulio had stopped, and the pass goes straight to the Uruguayan defense, and a pushing foul as Fonseca taken down by Sampaio. It'll be a free kick for the Uruguayans, just shy of midfield. Far side, Adenalfi. Coming up from the defense, spins the cross in front of the area. Francescoli and Fonseca well guarded, and it goes straight to Taffarel, and he'll boot it back up. And into touch, a poor kick from Taffarel, drawing whistles from the fans in attendance.
Brazil doing a good job over the last 10-15 minutes of keeping the Uruguayan crowd out of this.
Aldair heading it back up the line. Juninho pushing back. Adenalfi will push it back down the left wing for Uruguay, but it's won away by Brazil. Juninho cutting to the middle, pushed aside. Moaz to the near side. Mendez looking for Dorta. Into the middle. Instead, he'll use Gutierrez, the 26-year-old from Nacional. Outside. Adenalfi lifting it forward. And just a little too far. It goes over the end line, and it'll be a goal kick before Francescoli can get there. Lifted for Otero. And just a little too much on it. You're starting to sense the Uruguayans regaining some of their offensive composure. One solid counterattack from Brazil. A beautiful play by Edmundo. Chested home by Tulio for his third goal of the tournament. Considering the fact he's probably played less than one complete game so far in the tournament, that's not a bad percentage.
Sometimes coaches, when they have success in bringing a sub in and having them score goals, like to keep them in that mode.
Beautiful trap by Juninho on the outside to Jorginho, or actually, there he is, knocking it back to Jorginho and back to Juninho. Zinho in the middle instead of lifted over to the near side.
You know, a lot of people feel, well, if he's scoring so many goals coming off the bench, why don't you put him in regularly? That is true sometimes, but every now and then a coach will sense that, hey, this guy is much better coming off the bench, giving me a great 20 minutes and getting his shot on goal.
Jorginho, Roberto Carlos, he likes the left foot. He'll drop it back instead to Zinho. Edmundo with the back heel straight off Moaz and back up the other way. Mendez throws it in to the outside. Fonseca bringing it back, lifting it in with the right foot, pushed from behind. That's Poyet, the shot. Taffarel right there to stop him.
Referee wisely giving play on their advantage to the Uruguayans, because this was a foul right here at the top of the box, getting pushed in the back.
You see Francescoli, he will not only play the forward position, drops back into midfield occasionally and tries to find the holes, tries to find the weak spots, tries to get lost in the Brazilian defense, and right there was able to get a shot, but wasn't able to get much on it. Just a couple minutes left to go in the first half. 1-0 Brazil. Chested back, and you do see the foul on Andre Cruz. Play on. Back to Mendez. To the outside. Adenalfi with the left foot. Lifting it towards the back post. Well wide and well over the end line. Another goal kick. With only a minute plus injury time left to go. Half number one nearing conclusion. 4 shots for Uruguay, 4 for Brazil. However, the only shots that were on target for Brazil ended up going in the goal. Sloppy pass near midfield. Nice play by Zinho. The near side, Roberto Carlos, and Sampaio coming over to take it. Splits the Uruguayan defense, finds Juninho, lifted to the outside, and Jorginho there. Tulio in front of him. He'll lift it forward towards the back post. Offside called. Tulio did not check the last defense and a little too anxious.
And there we may see exactly why Zagallo keeps Tulio on the bench. Maybe he does have a propensity to have one offside after another.
And despite the injuries, the first half has come to a close. Very little injury time as Arturo Bricio, the 26-year-old forward from Boca Juniors. Action coming your way live and direct from Montevideo in Centennial Stadium, a stadium which Uruguay has not lost in 63 years. The last team to beat them back in 1932, Brazil, looking to return the favor here today. The near side, Adenalfi cutting through the defense, taken down. Jorginho and Dunga coming over. Francescoli having a few words. The foul at the edge of the area, and this a rather dangerous opportunity, perhaps for a cross. But Adenalfi quickly coming up from the defense, and the Uruguayans are going to need much more of that here in half number 2. Lifted into the area, the header on goal, just wide. Taffarel screaming at the defense in front of him. Quickly taken by the Uruguayans. Quick check on the stats in the first half, unofficially. 3 corners to 2 in favor of Brazil, each team with 4 shots. Taffarel forced to make 2 saves. 6 fouls against Uruguay, 12 against Brazil. And each team caught offside. To actually make that 2 against Uruguay, Brazil caught offside 3 times. So the first shot of the second half goes for Uruguay. Martinez, a speedy forward who is also a physical presence. He could probably shield off a little bit better than perhaps an ailing Daniel Fonseca or even a slight Enzo Francescoli.
Well, it's only 45 minutes left. Uruguay has to do everything possible to win this game, and they can't wait around. So obviously they're going to try to start going more forward from the very first minute.
Copa America action being brought to you on Prime Deportiva by Budweiser. Bringing you the passion of soccer, the passion of Copa America. Budweiser, authentic like you. Left-footed towards the area. Andre Cruz couldn't get it through the wall, however, but comes back to win it. Taken down, but play on. Lifting it up, intended for Martinez. His back heel flick, a little off target. Otero, a little too far upfield. Sampaio taken down. Looks as though the player who came off in favor of Martinez was Fonseca, and as we mentioned, he's been ailing. The deflection still in play. The far side in the middle looking for Otero. Martinez was at the spot, but Uruguay could not get anything through. However, the clearance knocked over into touch. It will be a throw-in for Uruguay. Mendez getting set to take it. Chested down. Taken away by Brazil. Dunga. The deflection comes all the way back to Tafarel. He'll swing it to the near side for Jorginho. Fakes the pass and cuts it back inside. Almost loses it. And Aldair there to gather the loose ball and send it towards the Uruguayan area, but offside as Mundo and Tulio both a little anxious that time.
Phil, I think we're finding out why Tulio doesn't start. Yes, he scores goals, but I think the ratio of goals scored per offsides is about 5 to 1.
Herrera hurt early in the game, but back on to play a solid performance. Martinez backing off and wins the ball. Roberto Carlos on the far side. Now Sampaio trying to guard him, but he gets the ball inside, chested down, pushed into the middle before Otero can get the shot off. It's deflected high in the air for Tafarel. Martinez's cross, chested down by Poyet. But once again, Otero just one man too late. Francescoli trying to find him in the middle. Headed out of bounds. Adinolfi has played a solid game since coming in for Silva in the 30th minute. Have not seen a lot of Gustavo Poyet so far in this game, and he has been an integral part of the midfield for Uruguay throughout the tournament. Thrown in, not offsides, obviously. Otero taken down from behind by Aldair. It'll be a free kick at the edge of the box. Could have been a yellow card. Aldair saying he was holding his jersey. Otero still on the ground, and might not have been intentional with the way the rules are drawn.
I think
Aldair getting away with it.
Aldair right here taking exception to the fact that the cleats come flying up into his face. Right here you see after he goes down, Otero comes up flying up with the cleats right there.
So the foul against Brazil and a free kick at the edge of the area. Francescoli and Bengoechea back into the game. His first appearance in a while. Tafarel guarding the line, the shot, the goal! Tafarel could not see it, and the goal from Bengoechea. The 30-year-old from Peñarol steps into the game at the half and immediately pays dividends. Francescoli, Adinolfi standing by, and Bengoechea with the shot and the goal. Curling it over the 5-man wall into the near corner.
And there's nothing at all you can do about that shot. That is exactly where it should go, where you aim it to go. It cannot get any closer than that right there.
Just missed the side netting to curl inside the post. Tafarel could only watch it go in the upper 90 for the equalizer. A beautiful play from a man we have not seen since the second game of the tournament. And Pablo Bengoechea pays immediate dividends. So the goal in the 50th minute, 20 minutes after Brazil takes the lead, and Bengoechea on the equalizer. To the near side, Francescoli. Down the left wing, and Otero has it taken off his boot over the sideline just before the corner flag, and Sampaio tracks back to the box for defense. A beautifully taken free kick.
And that may be just a little better than Eric Ronaldo's in the World Cup, because let's face it, Ronaldo's hit the post, right? Let's be picky, right? No, that both of those goals, but this one just spectacular.
Adinolfi with a long throw, top of the box, headed back. Before Adinolfi can get there, it's cleared away by Jorginho. Mundo pushed from behind and bicycled back by Moaz. Sinho there to gather, however, but taken right back by Martinez. To the outside, Mendez in the 53rd minute. Sampaio takes it back for Brazil and turns it upfield. Copa America action being brought to you by Budweiser, bringing you the passion of soccer, the passion of the Copa America. This Bud's for you. We're tied at 1-1 on the Budweiser scoreboard. Brazil chesting it in on Tulio on a beautiful play from Edmundo. And just moments ago, Bengoechea on Aldair's foul at the edge of the box, curling it into the near post for the equalizer.
And now you start to hear Uruguayan fans starting to get in this game. Every time Uruguay has the ball, every pass they make is going to elicit an ole, ole, and that's going to work to Uruguay's favor. Brazil must try to freeze the game a little bit and try to take the crowd out of it and reestablish a pace.
Hard foul, and it will be whistled as Juninho taken down. Quickly taken to the near side, Jorginho lifting it in, the header on goal! 9 minutes in and apparently hitting the satellite. The goal, and they're walking back to midfield. A beautifully taken cross from Jorginho, but they're going to call offside. Edmundo, once again, the 5th time today, Brazil has been called offside. And once again, it was not Edmundo taking the kick, but Tulio on the back door.
Tulio offside, and once again, there we see a controversial way of how you're going to enforce that the offsides ruling. The ball did not go to Tulio, who was offsides. He was not involved in the play, but the offside is still called. Obviously, a linesman cannot assume where that ball is going to get thrown, and that's why there is controversy about the new offside interpretation that the linesmen and the refs must deal with.
At what point do they move out of the play? Obviously, the defense had to worry about Tulio. But Edmundo's goal wiped off the board, still tied at 1. Roberto Carlos knocking it in towards Moas and almost puts it in on his own goal, but across the end line. Moas clapping his hands as it'll be a corner kick. Brazil will take it, their 4th of the game, 1st of the half. Adenalfi guarding the near post. Alves screaming out instructions to the defense. Sinho. Will he shoot or will he pass? Lifting it up with the left foot towards the near post, headed out by Moas. Bengoechea knocking it a little bit further out of danger, taken down. It'll be a foul against Brazil.
That's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people have a problem with the new interpretation of the new offside, is that it leaves too much room for the linesmen and the referees to try to figure out who's involved in the play and who's not involved in the play. And as you said, Phil, at what point is a person not involved in a play? When does he actually become part of the play? I just think it's way too confusing, and they got to figure out a better way to solve the new offside interpretation.
Back up the near side, a little too far, and they watch it go over the sideline for the throw.
If we remember in the last World Cup, that ball that got passed right to Romario, and he just let it go right by him, literally inches away from his leg, and the ball ran on to Bebeto, who took it on and scored.
And the Dutch are still arguing about that one.
Exactly.
Back to Aldair. Dunga on the hard tackle, and Brazil coming back upfield. Aldair returns the favor towards the far side, intended for Tulio. Tries to spin past the defense, but Mendes there. Mendes can't control it, however, across the sideline, and a throw-in for Brazil. Cleared back out of danger. Once again, not in play. Aldair over to take the throw. So the substitutes, Sergio Martinez and Pablo Bengoechea, entering the game at halftime for Hector Nunez, as he has used all 3 substitutes. Adenalfi coming in for the injured Tabaré Silva, and why not? You're not going to be able to hold on to him anymore. This is it. Just 33 minutes left to go. Roberto Carlos. Sinho. Intended for Edmundo. Still has it on the right foot. Leaves it off for Tulio. And it's taken away, but given right back as Dunga steps forward. Jorginho. Lifting it across towards the penalty spot. Headed clear. Zinho brings it back down as the Brazilian pocket closes. Down the wing. Lifted up towards the far post. And just a little wide. Edmundo could not get there. Hector Nunez having a few words for the linesman at Mundo. Well offside on this. And the flag does go up. The 6th offside against Brazil so far today.
And for a team like Brazil, when they're trying to get a national team together, these are the little things that keep maybe a Ronaldo on the bench or a Tulio on the bench. Yes, you have all the talent in the world, but being offsides 3 or 4 times a game does us no good.
And that was one of the problems that Ronaldo had in Holland, despite leading them in scoring a number of times for PSV, called offside. One of the reasons they were left scrambling for UEFA berth. Deflected off Otero. They're going to say he used his hands to do so. It'll be a free kick for Brazil as they avoid the breakaway.
Interestingly enough, in today's soccer, where it's so hard to find goal scorers, you'd figure, well, hey, I'll take 5 offsides if the guy can give me a goal. Well, the thing is, Brazil's never been at a lack for goal scorers, and if they have 3 or 4 guys that can put the ball in the net, they can be very picky as to what they want them to do and what they'll allow them to get away with.
Juninho taken down by Poyet, and Gustavo Poyet gets a yellow card. 3rd of the game, actually 2nd of the game against Uruguay. Coming in the 58th minute. Quickly given back, and Herrera takes his time to lift it upfield, intended for Otero, but too much on it. All the way back to Tafarel. At 1-1, the situation and scenario changes dramatically for both teams. Uruguay can lay back a little bit more, and Brazil forced to go a little bit more on the offensive. Roberto Carlos, the left-footed cross into the middle. Tulio heading it straight up into the air, headed by Herrera. Eventually won by Poyet. Out to Bengoechea, the hero so far of Uruguay. I'm sure even the Nacional fans are pleased that he's on the pitch right now. Quite a rivalry between those two teams, Nacional and Peñarol, who both play several of their home games on this very turf. Outside, Roberto Carlos lifting it up into space, tries to get around the defense, does so. A foul inside the box. This will be for Roberto Carlos, pushing off.
And he probably can't believe that he's actually getting called for the foul here. That's not a foul. That, in my opinion, is not a foul.
If anything, play on perhaps, as both players fighting for positioning. Pushed into the middle. That is a foul. Sampaio. th foul of the game as Otero taken down. 17th foul against Brazil. Uruguay, however, with only 8. And there was some question as to whether the Uruguayans would get a little bit of favorable refereeing, but to this point, despite the large foul count on the Brazilian side, it's been a rather well-played game. Intended for Francescoli, and this time he draws a cleat to the chest. It will be a foul against Sampaio again. Coming in, cleats up, and Francescoli checking to make sure everything's there. And I don't know if this was exactly intentional. Just trying to go up. Dangerous play, and Francescoli actually perhaps drawing the foul, drawing his boot to his chest a little bit. Then again, maybe other areas were involved. But I don't think that Brazil would intentionally foul at this point, right at the edge of the area, considering what Pablo Bengoechea did just a few moments ago. Tafarel. He might just want to stand there this time.
Stand there, and that way you have a much better chance at saving this shot.
Gustavo Poyet, the height up front, along with Martinez for Uruguay. Francescoli, Bengoechea, and Adonalfi. Stopped, Francescoli curling it in, and Tafarel grabs it, sticking to the fingertips at the near post. The indirect kick and a beautifully taken strike by Enzo Francescoli. The Brazilian wall standing still, showing no cracks, but lifting it up towards the near post, and Tafarel with a good save. However, the Brazilians can't hold on, and Francescoli lifting it up for Martinez, headed up into the air, still loose, finally cleared away. Dunga blasting it back upfield. Miscommunication perhaps, but the Brazilians come back with it, and Tulio dropping it back. Juninho to the near side, and Mundo Jorginho coming up on his right. Uses him. Jorginho lifting it towards the back post, and Alves there. Brazilians probably could have done a lot more with that than what the end result ended up being. Franceschi, a beautiful move to hold on to the near side. Does not look 33-year-old to me. Marcelo Otero. Franceschi, well, maybe there. Complaining to the referee, looking for the foul. The ref had said play on. The pass to Franceschi goes right past his back, and the Brazilians take control.
Yeah, there Franceschi was complaining to the referee that he was getting beaten to the elbow by Dunga.
How dare he? Jorginho without an Alfie jumping into his back, and a foul call. Edmundo, Dunga, Jorginho. They'll send it back to Aldair and Andre Cruz on the far side. Brazil basically plays with only two defenders. The outside guys, Roberto Carlos and Jorginho, have a lot of offensive responsibilities, but the Brazilian offense keeps most teams' defenses so worried they don't have time to think about a counterattack. Juninho past Maurizio and gets it out to the outside for Roberto Carlos. Once again, left foots it in. Triple teamed in the middle, Edmundo. Nice move by Adonalfi. Into the middle for Ben Goichea, who's taken down. A foul call. And actually, Franceschi coming all the way back into the midfield.
Brazilian defense has always been, especially in the last 3 years, very underrated. If you consider that 20 minutes into the final against Italy, Brazil was playing with 4 substitute defenders because the original 4 were knocked out by injury either before or during the World Cup.
Otero, ball kicked back upfield by the Brazilian defense. Nearing the midway point of half number 2. Foul called. The 20th against Brazil so far today. Copa America action being brought to you by Chevy Trucks. Chevy, solid like a rock. Ben Goichea. To the outside, intended for Martinez, but taken away. You're going to say he pushed off against Andre Cruz, and it'll be a foul and a free kick for Brazil heading the other way. Once again, Brazil owns the overall series with 29 wins to 19 and 13 ties, and another foul against Uruguay. And throwing the ball, not a smart move for Juninho. Drawing a cheap yellow card. Now he's having a few words, asking for some protection from the referee, but that's not a way to get it. In the 65th minute, Juninho draws the yellow. A little upset at Adonalfi. First time we've seen Juninho lose his cool the whole tournament, and he's had plenty of reason too.
He's actually been on the quiet side during this game, and which is a shame because you'd figure a player like of his stature would rise to the occasion, but he's only 22, and my guess is he's going to have many games in the future where he's going to be the centerpiece of a final.
And Mundo taken away by Moax. Pushed up the flank. Otero trying to spin past 2 defenders. The ball finally knocked out of bounds. Dunga stops the play there. It'll be a throw-in for Uruguay some 40 yards away. You can see Aldair left in the dust, but Dunga, the old trick, just kind of grab the shoulder with the referee not looking. That slows him down enough to swing your legs through. Adonalfi looking for the long throw. Aimed towards the top of the box, headed to the far side, and an opportunity. Ben Goichea flicking it in, headed clear. Dunga got a head on it, and Brazil turning it back upfield. Knocked out of bounds to the near side, and Adonalfi, the only man around. He'll throw it back. A 21-year-old from River Plate in Uruguay coming on as a substitute for an injured Tabaré Silva in the first half. Andre Cruz kicking it straight up into the air. Franceschi down. The shot blocked and cleared back up the other way. Edmundo and Tulio. Tulio putting the pressure on, wins the ball and knocks it back to Edmundo. Into the middle to Juninho. His pass deflected, but still finds its mark. Jorginho will send it back the other way. Roberto Carlos. The shot deflected by Moaz and banged back up the other way. Sampaio coming forward, but Otero getting there first. Another pushing foul against Brazil, and Uruguayan fans want to see something for their money now from their national team. A 1-1 draw so far. Offside yet again. This one hurts, however. The 5th offside of the game. They've had 6. Edmundo had scored the go-ahead goal, but Tulio offside on the back door wipes the goal off the board and keeps the score knotted at 1. Copa America action being brought to you by AT&T. Quality, service, savings, and experience. AT&T, your true choice. Phil Shane, Renato Capobianco bringing you the action from Copa America 95 on Prime Deportiva and on pay-per-view as Mendez on the far side spins it back upfield for Bengoechea. Nice touch to the left, to the right, and passes it back to Mendez. Now to Gutierrez, who pushes it forward. Taken away by the Brazilians and back to Taffarel. The next 2 Copa Americas, plus this January's Gold Cup, the Super Cup, and exclusive transmissions from Argentina, Spain, Mexico, Central America, and Europe coming your way. Right on Prime Deportiva. Call your local cable operator for details. Offside the call, but waved off as Alves comes out to grab hold. And the Uruguayans turn it back the other way. Dunga coming over on defense. Down the near side for Aldair. Martinez. Off of Aldair and into touch. A throw in for Adinolfi. Past the midway point of half number 2. Arturo Bricio, the referee, saying, come on, get the game back underway. Once again towards the top of the box, headed down, flicked up by Otero, but not over Taffarel. Stranger goals have happened, but Taffarel's seen them this tournament, in fact, as he allowed 2 goals on the near post, including one which was planted next to the pipe. Coming in cleats up. It'll be a foul. They're going to say it went the other way, and Brazilian fans not happy. Strange call from Arturo Bricio, but the Uruguayans give it right back to the Brazilian defense. Edmundo lifting it forward for Tulio, deflected away by Mendez. Play on. Moaz taken down from the back. Edmundo on the foul. Foul number 23 against Brazil. Tulio has been very quiet here in half number 2. Would not be surprised. A substitution might be right around the corner for Mario Zagallo.
Here we see him sweeping the back of the legs with his left foot. Normally in those tackles, it's not the first leg that does it, but the second one coming around the back.
Adinolfi gets past Jorginho, cuts past another defender, brings it back with the left foot, gets the return pass, deflected up. Francescoli still with the ball, double team, tries to spin inside. Zinho comes away with it. Sampaio pushing it forward, intended for Roberto Carlos. It trickles across the sideline and a throw in for Brazil. Adinolfi. Set up. Marcelo Saralegui for the goal against Mexico. Scored the first goal against Colombia and has played a very solid game both in defense and when he comes up on offense so far for Uruguay. Poyet lifting it forward, intended for Martinez, but headed clear, and the Brazilians turn it back upfield. Nice move by Zinho. The outside for Roberto Carlos, and Francescoli coming back to mark up. Sampaio with Dunga on the inside. He'll take it himself. Juninho shows himself. Instead, they'll go straight for Edmundo, and the ball deflected forward. And the foul called. Sampaio, a little frustration evident on that foul. When you have guys like Zinho and Juninho around, Sampaio is not the one you want to be making the passes. Intended for Martinez. Bricio was not ready yet, and they'll have to do it all over again. Jose Herrera, the 30-year-old from Cagliari. Nice pass. Chested down by Adenalfi. Pushing it forward and getting the return pass down the left wing. Adenalfi left foots it across. The header over the bar. Taffarel on the back post. Martinez in the middle. And it looks as though Marcelo Otero might have come up a little hurt.
That was a terrific play. The ball being played through to the back there. And full on the run. Half volley cross. Beautiful cross to the far post.
And you can see it looked like Otero banged into the back of Andre Cruz, trying to put this header on goal, and actually that was Enzo Francescoli. Otero further on the back post. But Francescoli going forward at full speed, slammed into the back of Andre Cruz and caught it flush on the nose, apparently. Gutierrez coming well up from the defense. Stolen away. Martinez tries to out-dribble Dunga, who teaches him the error of his ways, and Jorginho now for Brazil. Brazilians dressed in the yellow and blue, moving from the left to the right. Much of the action here in the second half has been going in the opposite direction as the sky blue clad Uruguayans pushing forward, looking for the victory. They equalized just 5 minutes in to half number 2. Bengoechea on the free kick. Flick on, and the bicycle kick from Roberto Carlos. Looked nicer than the result, but it did take him out of danger, and a throw in just back across midfield for Uruguay. Bengoechea takes with one, pushes with the left, and taken right back. Stolen away by Gutierrez. Alvaro Gutierrez lifting it up in the area. Francescoli and Martinez fighting for possession. Taffarel finally boots it back out across midfield. An opportunity just missed for Uruguay. Tulio and Moaz pushing and shoving. There'll be a throw-in quickly taken for Brazil. Juninho lifting it into space. But Edmundo well behind the play and no problem for Uruguay. Over the outlet pass, leaving much to be desired as Roberto Carlos picks it off and gets the simple flick back from Edmundo. The left foot into the area, brought down by Edmundo, bringing it back to the right foot, spinning it across, and almost got it to Jorginho, who was unmarked. Could have been a dangerous one-on-one opportunity, and Jorginho just missed out on the opportunity as Edmundo spotted him quickly.
During these last 15 minutes, I think what we just saw is what we're going to see a lot of, and that is 5 players from each team near the own box, and each box rather, and very little midfield play. I don't think either team wants to give up a counterattack. So you're going to see maybe 3 or 4 players maximum in the midfield area, 2 per each team, and the rest of them are just going to be stationed at the box waiting for that ball to get there.
Long clearance pass intended for Otero as the wind begins to blow. Game time temperature at the start of the contest, 65 degrees. As the sun sets, it will cool down quickly. Beto, the man who blocked Joe Max Moore's shot in the back in the semifinal against the United States, about to check in. He had been playing in that game because of Sampaio's 2 yellow cards in Brazil's quarterfinal matchup against Argentina. And there's the man in the middle who might be coming out pretty soon. Juninho, Roberto Carlos on the outside, just across midfield. He'll drop it back and get the return pass in down the left flank, cutting into the area, and Alves comes out, jumps over the ball, did block it enough to keep the rebound short, but Roberto Carlos, under a full head of steam, could not get back in time.
No, and Alves did a great job there reading that Roberto Carlos is more than likely going to blow by his defender, came off his line, didn't wait to see if the defender could maybe catch up. With this little time left in the half, Alves showing his experience.
Tied at 1, and once again the Copa America no overtime, penalty kicks to decide the champ. Where have we heard that before? Moaz to the outside. Francescoli back in the midfield. The back heel taken away by Brazil. Sampaio, Roberto Carlos with just 12 minutes plus injury time left to go. Jorginho, the touch pass back to Aldair. To Dunga. Juninho Juninho splits the defense, taken down. Foul called against Uruguay, and a free kick some 35 yards away. 6th foul of the half, 12th of the game against Uruguay. And Juninho has seen a lot of that this term. Juninho about to come off the pitch. A little bit of a surprise. He has not been as involved in the offensive play here today as 22-year-old Osvaldo Giraldo Jr. from Sao Paulo, but ever dangerous. Instead, they bring in a more defensive-minded Beto, 20-year-old Gilberto Rajo Martins from Botafogo. Roberto Carlos, once again a cannon for a left leg. This time, doesn't put it in the air. It looks like he might have been intending it as a pass or a shot. Regardless, he has a little bit of a chuckle as it goes across the end line. No danger for Uruguay. And you mentioned it early on. In fact, even before the half had struck to a close, the problems that might be caused by Tulio's offsides, and what a different game this would be about 10 minutes from time if Brazil had been able to score it. Edmundo's header to the near side. Edmundo shoots and pulls it over the bar. A little bit too much on the outside of the foot. No problem for Fernando Alves.
Surprisingly there, Edmundo, I would have expected him to maybe take that last defender on, because he really didn't have any cover behind him. That ball's kind of bouncing up.
Jose Herrera did just enough, however, to force the bad shot. Goal kick for Uruguay. Sampaio pushing from behind. Poyet finally ties the laces and pushes back upfield. Eber Moas to Jose Herrera. The anchors in the central defense for Uruguay, deciding who's going to take it. Herrera does. Towards the outside, headed straight into the air by Francescoli. Over the end line, and a corner kick call. First of the half for Uruguay. Bengoechea going over to take it. Roberto Carlos in the near post, and Taffarel loosening up the legs. 5 men in the box right now, including at the near post. Lifted up towards the spot, headed on, and knocked away. Gustavo Poyet had it going to the near post, but it was blocked. Uruguay holds on, heading it back in, cleared high in the air. Taffarel coming out of his box and grabs hold. Taffarel, a solid play, holding on to the ball, and a whistle blows behind the play. Likely a foul in the area. Jorginho, an errant clearance. The deflection high in the air, and Taffarel doing a good job grabbing hold.
What you'll see is right here, right there, Taffarel makes his mind up to go get the ball, realizes he didn't have anybody in his way, and goes out and makes sure he gets his hand on it.
Errant clearance on the near side, and here we might have the opportunity. Poyet's header blocked away at the near post. Andre Cruz blocking it before it got to the goal line. All the way down the other end, and Edmundo tripped to the box, but play on. Bengoechea very active here in half number 2 since coming on as a substitute at halftime. Push forward for Martinez. Aldair controls and pushes it up to Sampaio. Zinho to the outside, Roberto Carlos. Mendes coming over to guard. Back to Zinho. Beto with the right foot swings it to the near side for Jorginho. One-on-one guarding. Jorginho cuts it back, and a beautiful tackle out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for Brazil. The 20-year-old from Botafogo back to the middle. Dunga, the captain. Once again, the young and the old. Caio. As Uruguay dropping back into a defensive shell, and Brazil happy enough to keep passing it along the flanks, waiting for an opening. Jorginho into the middle and offside yet again. That one, I think, just a little bit of miscommunication. Perhaps trying to curl around in the pass, just coming a little bit late. Maybe not a great position to decide on that, because at the time of the pass, he might have been offside or onside. But Mundo agreeing with the ref on something. Back to Taffarel, and since Bengoechea's goal, he has had a rather quiet time of it. Zinho, left foot into space. Roberto Carlos, guarded by Mendez. The pass to the center. Dunga coming forward, cuts it to the right foot, lifting it to the outside now. Jorginho brings it down on the right foot, cutting back to the left, into the middle. Beto lifting it up towards the penalty spot, and it's cleared away. Uruguay, however, still cannot control the ball offensively. Mistaken pass from Roberto Carlos, but one right back. Zinho lifting it down. Roberto Carlos, as the defender goes down, the shot across the area. And Alves picks it up at the near post. Could have been a little bit more dangerous, but an error here defensively, as Gustavo Poyet tries to clear it in the air, and Roberto Carlos did not get all of that. If he had, Alves probably would have been back picking the ball out of the net. Zinho once again into space. Roberto Carlos pushes it in the box, taken down from behind. And it will be a foul, and it will be a card. Roberto Carlos coming into the corner of the box on the far side, a full head of steam, the ball in front of him, and yanked down from behind for the free kick. And as you take a closer look here, just sweeping his legs across, hoping not to be called for the foul, Mendez, but he is.
And there we saw that Roberto Carlos had to take the ball himself, because guess who was offside again in an offside position? So they're having to take it, rightfully so. You're in through, you want to take the responsibility of taking your shot yourself. So many times you see players passing off the responsibility in key situations like that.
So in the 83rd minute, a yellow card to Mendez. The shot bangs off the wall. The deflection comes right back out. The rebounded shot cleared high. It'll be a goal kick at Mundo. Couldn't do it with the left or the right.
Makes you wonder sometimes. Here we have obviously brilliant professionals with tremendous skills that are able to hit moving balls and put them in corners, and then they have a set ball like that and they hit it right into the wall.
Bengoechea did, and that's why we're tied. Here, left-footed clearance headed right back by Uruguay in midfield. Martinez pushing and shoving, however, a little too physical. Foul called, and a free kick for Brazil, as we are now about 5 minutes from time. 1-1 the score. Phil Shane, Renato Capobianco, bringing you live play-by-play coverage of Uruguay 95, courtesy of Prime Deportivo on pay-per-view. Far side, Roberto Carlos once again using his speed, sending it across the box over Tulio's head, trapped down and sent back up the near side. Adenalfi. Brazil once again holding on. Hard tackle as Francescoli taken down. No foul called. A throw in for Adenalfi. Not a lot of time left in this Copa final. Head out of danger before Martinez can get there. Once again, Uruguay has used all the substitutes they can. Adenalfi coming on for an injury in the first half. And Sergio Martinez. Pablo Bengoechea coming on at the half, as Hector Nunez has played all the cards he can. The throw-in into the area, headed up, Aldair. Jorginho can't control it, however, and it goes right at the top of the box for another opportunity, as Uruguay starting to pick up the real estate. Adenolfi throwing it in towards the penalty spot, curling away, chested down by Francescoli and cleared high into the air by Andre Cruz. Francescoli is down on the turf as he took the boot. Beto wins the ball near midfield. Pushed a little bit too far in front of him, and Uruguay sends it back the other way. Adenolfi watches it trickle across the sideline. It'll be a throw-in, but they're going to have to take care of the 33-year-old Enzo Francescoli as he meets Andre Cruz up close and personal.
I think there Francescoli took the brunt of the follow-through of Cruz's kick.
And once again, with both substitutes already on in the second half and one in the first half, Hector Nunez is going to have to hope for Francescoli. The crowd starts to sing. It is not over yet.
Should get a good look at it here.
And unlike Roberto Carlos or Jorginho, Andre Cruz and Aldair, their job is just to get it out of danger. And that time might have taken a couple of Francescoli's teeth with it. Pablo Bengoechea talking to the ref, as is the trainer. Up until this time, almost every injury had been as he took a knee straight to the face. Every injury had been taken off the field on the stretcher. And a yellow card right now coming out. Dunga having a few words. And that's basically, I'm sure, what he was going to say is every other time you just told him to take him off, get the game back underway, but with only 4 or 5 minutes left to go, the Uruguayans desperately need their leader. Dunga having a few words, and Arturo Bricio flashes the yellow. Fourth of the game against Brazil, was 7th overall, and Dunga frustrated. Finally, Francescoli goes off to the side, and Uruguay is going to need him back quickly, if for anything other than just to take a penalty kick.
Looks like he may have gotten maybe a shoulder by the way he's holding his arm right there. I think it is.
Thrown in by Adenolfi. Once again towards the area, cleared away by Andre Cruz. Once again one back in the midfield by Uruguay. Martinez heading it back towards the area, but Sampaio the only one there for Brazil. The world champs head across midfield. Only minutes from their goal towards the outside, flicked up by Tulio, but as we see 46 minutes on the clock, considerable injury time. Probably 2 or 3 minutes, and once again I think they called Tulio for offside. The 8th offside of the game as Francescoli comes back in, but as you can see he is not looking well, and a yellow card here.
Judging by the way he was holding his arm.
And once again Francescoli walks onto the field. The referee has blown the whistle. 1-1 the end result, deciding which goal they'll shoot at. But the winner has not been decided after 90 minutes of play. Penalty kicks upcoming to determine the champion of Copa America '95. Francescoli will take it, and once again might be a little bit of mental games, but you put your best scorer on, and Francescoli tucks it under a diving Claudio Taffarel and gives a one-handed punch towards the crowd as Uruguay takes the lead, and Taffarel almost got it.
Almost got that one, but obviously you see Francescoli not bothered by his shoulder
until he celebrates.
When he wakes up tomorrow morning, his shoulder will hurt. And it'll hurt a lot more if they lose.
Now it's Fernando Alves's turn, the 35-year-old from River Plate, with young Roberto Carlos, the defender, stepping to the line for the first Brazilian attempt. Lining up the left foot, the blast! sticks it under the legs of Alves, who dove towards the left side. And Roberto Carlos with the goal.
And once again, this is the reason I don't like these penalty kick situations. Soccer is a game of skill. The goalkeeper is pretty much left to a guessing game. He has no real skill to use in situations like this. He has to pray he's guessing the right direction. Meanwhile, you got a guy blasting it from 12 yards out.
Once again, though, from a goalkeeper's perspective, in this situation, the shooter's supposed to score, try and pick up the mistakes, and I have a feeling if Alves had held his position, that would have been an easy one. Now the man who tied it up and sent it to kicks, Pablo Bengoechea, the 30-year-old, spins it past Taffarel into the side netting for the goal. And once again, Taffarel reading the kick right, but Bengoechea put it in a perfect spot. So 2-1 on kicks. Zinho, the 28-year-old. Rizio telling Alves to stay on the line. Taffarel praying on the side. Zinho's shot into the upper corner. Alves guesses the wrong way. Still tie. It was the third kick for Argentina, taken by Diego Simeone. The first save for Claudio Taffarel. Kick number 3 upcoming for Uruguay. The 29-year-old keeper from Cruzeiro, back from time in Italy, as Jose Herrera spots the ball. Herrera, the 30-year-old defender from Cagliari. 2 steps, right foot, just passed. Taffarel might have had it. And a windmill of a celebration for Jose Herrera.
Taffarel doing a good job of at least guessing the right way so far, if he is guessing.
And if he's reading, and once again, perfectly struck penalty kick here, curling just out past the reach of Claudio Taffarel. And Uruguay leading 3-2, and Brazil trying to equalize with their third kick. Who will be the hero? Who will be the GOAT? Tulio. His offside perhaps cost Brazil the game in regulation. The shot saved! Fernando Alves blocks Tulio's shot, and Uruguay with a chance to take the lead as Centennial Stadium erupts. The man who had been the hero of many of the Brazilian games so far in the tournament, wearing the horns right now. Can Claudio Taffarel save him on the fourth kick? Nestor Fabri was stopped for Argentina. Does Taffarel have any magic left? Alvaro Gutierrez, the stopper for Uruguay, the 26-year-old from Nacional, eyes it up, shoots and scores as Taffarel guesses the wrong way.
And even if he would have picked the right spot, that would have been a very difficult kick to save. Look at this, where it goes. Side, well, actually, from the other mistake there. Thought that hit the side netting, still on the wide side of the opposite side where Taffarel guesses.
And Gutierrez gives Uruguay the lead, and Fernando Alves can win it here. A 14th Copa America title is on the line as Alves head to the ground, walks the line. The 35-year-old from River Plate, looking for his 5th win of the tournament. A win that would send Montevideo into a party that wouldn't end for a week. The captain, Dunga, the right foot, just past Alves' fingers into the goal, and Brazil is still alive. And Alves did not miss by much.
That was very, very close right there. Guessing the right way. just beyond the reach.
And Dunga, the experience showing. The 31-year-old keeps the Brazilians alive, but they can win it here. The fifth kick, Taffarel needs to come up with a save. Martinez shoots and scores! Uruguay has won the Copa America '95 title, their 14th championship in history. Sergio Martinez's penalty kick has given Uruguay the championship. Centennial Stadium erupts. The fireworks explode. Uruguay has won it all. You see Peru, you see Argentina, and for the 14th time, a medal celebrating Uruguay's championship will be pinned upon the Copa America, the oldest international trophy of them all. And the history continues, a penalty kick win as the Uruguayan national team salutes the fans. Alves. The save of Tulio's kick, and it's a victory for Uruguay. There might be better ways to decide it, but you cannot diminish the emotion right now that is flowing through the streets of Montevideo. Uruguay has knocked off the world champions. This tiny country of 3 million, the champions of South America for the 14th time in history. They have never lost a Copa America game in Montevideo at Centennial Stadium, and that will not change here today. Back to 1932 for the last time they've lost here at all. It was Brazil then, but it was not Brazil today.
There we have Alves at age 35 winning another prestigious championship for his country.
And Enzo Francescoli, at the age of 33, winning his third Copa America title. $65,000 in attendance on a wonderful winter day. Gustavo Poyet showing the struggle of the 90 minutes that they put in to win the championship. Phil Shane, Renato Capobianco bringing you live coverage of this celebration following the Uruguayan championship on Prime Deportiva. It started back on July 5th, a 4-1 win against Venezuela. And for 3 weeks, it kept a nation and a continent enthralled. It ends here today with Uruguay drawing with Brazil in regulation and winning on kicks to win their 14th crown. And here it is. Manteca with the right foot. Taffarel guessing to his left and can only watch as it hits the netting on the opposite side. And there it is, what they've been fighting for the past 3 weeks. What they've been fighting for the past 79 years. The Copa America. The United States 1 goal away from perhaps getting the opportunity to do the same. But the Uruguayans, regardless of who they were playing today, would not be denied. The Brazilians will get the runners-up. The Uruguayans will get the medals and a chance to touch the cup. Some 40 years prior to the European Championship as they continue to celebrate around the field. A decade and a half prior to the first ever World Cup that was won by the Uruguayans on this very field. Leading the charge. Uruguay would not have been here if it had not been for his solid play in defense. What a sight and what a scene. Coming to you live from Centennial Stadium. Prime Deportiva bringing you the celebration, the medals, the awards, the handing over of the trophy. On the other side, what must be going through Tulio's mind right now? Francescoli winning his 3rd Copa America title. At the age of 33, many people thought he was over the hill, but he had one more big tournament left in him. The drums continue to pound the beat. Regardless of the way it ended, as you see Diego Dorta, he'd come off as a substitute for Bengoechea at the half. Bengoechea would reward Hector Nunez with the goal, but Renato, both of these teams coming into this game deserve to be here. Uruguay with 10 goals, only 3 allowed. Brazil with 9 against 2. And both of them have been playing arguably the best soccer from day one.
Yeah, if you look at who has been playing the best soccer throughout the tournament, both these teams are equally as capable of winning this cup. Unfortunately, it did come down to penalty kicks, but you're absolutely right. Both teams throughout the tournament played good games. They tried to play soccer. They went looking for goals. They did not really play defensive style, although this game wasn't an ideal final. But it's very safe to say that both teams deserve to be here, and both teams could have won this cup.
Deportiva's coverage continues live and direct from Montevideo and Centennial Stadium. One of the most storied stadiums in history. And there are still more stories to be told. What a scene and what a sight, and I am sure it will be going on well into the morning hours as Montevideo and Uruguay celebrates their 14th Copa America title.
Well, when you're a country of only, like you said, 3 million people, and you win a title like this that gives you bragging rights for an entire continent, you can imagine this will last for a long time with the Uruguayan people.
And this actually means a heck of a lot for the Uruguayan national team, because the Uruguayan team had fallen into a little bit of, I guess you could say, a state of disrespect after missing out on a few World Cups in recent years. They were not part of World Cup 1994, edged out in the final moment. In fact, I believe it was Colombia who had knocked them out, and Argentina finally holding on to the last spot to win in the playoff. Uruguay, very, very proud of their team, and were very distraught when they did not get the chance to make the World Cup. Francescoli, obviously nearing the end of his playing career, wanted to give one more chance at it. He'd never really had the opportunity, especially never really having the support that he has right now in the defense and with line mates up front like a Daniel Fonseca or a Ruben Sosa, or the man who scores the winning kick in Sergio Martinez. But that was not to be. They're going to have to wait for France '98. But at this point, the Copa America title, who many people in South America feel even more of an affinity towards, even more than the World Cup, because of the fact that these are your neighbors. These are the people who you compete in, year out. This means a lot.
Well, Uruguay, even though they didn't make the World Cup in 1994, this is the ideal situation and the ideal tournament for them to get back on track. It only took them a year. They have bragging rights. Now, remember, Uruguay is a very proud soccer country, and for them to win this tournament, it puts them right back in the hunt for the top spot in South America and prepares them mentally and psychologically as they prepare for France '98.
As far as the statistics line up, the Golden Boot will be shared. 4 goals apiece. Mexico's Luis Garcia and Gabriel Batistuta of Argentina, 2 players who did not have the opportunity to play in the semifinals or in the final here today, but no one was able to catch up with those 2. As we head back towards Montevideo, might not have been a very high-scoring affair as far as individual performances go, but as we saw at the half, there were a number of electrifying moments, both for the U.S., both for Uruguay, for Brazil, and all the way around. A tournament that will have a lot of stories to tell in the years to come.
And there we see Herrera with his son sharing the moment.
And think about what might have happened had he been forced to come out. Remember, he was down. They had Oscar Aguirre on the side warming up. If they had lost both Herrera and Silva, to be forced to make 2 substitutes for defenders, that might have kept Ben Goiche on the bench, and it might have been a totally different story.
Especially since the Uruguayan defense has played so well and so strongly throughout this tournament. To all of a sudden lose 2 of your players is not the situation you want to go into a final. Luckily for them, though, Ben Goiche does get on the field and hits a beautiful free kick.
There are the Brazilians. They were on the opposite end of this feeling just 1 year ago. In fact, when you look back, it was some 45 years ago, 1 week from today. 45 years in a week that many people say the upset of the century took place in Maracanã, Uruguay against Brazil. In front of over 180,000 people, some say over 200,000 showed up. Uruguay knocked off Brazil in a world championship that many had already had drawn in Brazil's name. And now, some 45 years later, they do it again.
This is good for soccer worldwide, though. Anytime you have different teams winning tournaments, I think it's the best situation, because the more and more teams that are competitive, it only raises the level of soccer across the board. If you have one team constantly dominating a tournament or a region, I don't think that does anything to promote the game. I think this is wonderful for South America, because obviously we know Argentina is a good team, we know Brazil is a good team, and now Uruguay has gotten back into that elite number 3 position of Uruguay and Brazil. So I think this is a tremendous situation for soccer, that another team wins another major tournament. Uruguay will more than likely now go on to the Intercontinental Cup along with the European champions.
See Taffarel exchanging hugs. He was here in front of these very people 1 year ago in Los Angeles with a chance to parade the World Cup around the field as Roberto Baggio stood head down at the penalty spot as Italy faced the prospects of what they and Dunga right now are facing as we speak. Solid performance from the Brazilian captain yet again, but not enough. It was his kick that kept the hope alive. And the captain will accept the 2nd place trophy. And now the Uruguayans lining up, getting set to receive their medals and getting set to receive the Copa America title. Poyet, his play, the hard work in midfield, helped the Uruguayans control much of the play throughout the tournament. Enzo Francescoli still holding that ailing shoulder. But Poyet up on the stand, receiving the first medal. Herrera behind him with his child on his shoulders.
And Poyet having a wonderful year, first winning the UEFA with Zaragoza of Spain and now winning Copa America. It's been quite a year for him.
At the age of 27, he still has quite a bit in front of him too. Adinolfi, a solid tournament for the 21-year-old. Wouldn't be surprised if he crosses the river anytime soon and with a nice chunk of change in his pocket. What must be going through the mind of João Havelange, the Brazilian-born head of FIFA? I'm sure he's seen a lot of these tournaments before, but his native land denied. The World Cup is theirs, but the on Prime Deportiva and on pay-per-view, brought to you by Budweiser, bringing you the passion of soccer, the passion of Copa America. Budweiser, this Bud's for you. Roberto Carlos, he has been one of the finds for this Brazilian squad and one of the finds perhaps for the world with the wonderful tournament he's had so far. Tries to rifle the throw in. It's headed back. Uruguayans trying to put some touches together, but stolen away. Dunga dropping it back to Roberto Carlos. Mainly just a left-footed player. He has shown very little touch with the right foot, but the left foot a cannon. And when he doesn't score, it's still dangerous if he puts it anywhere in front. Foul against the Brazilians. This one will go against Aldair. It'll be a free kick just across the center stripe. Second foul against Brazil, and Francescoli having a few words. Enzo Francescoli, at 33 years of age, many people thought he was washed up. The European continent had their fill with him. He goes back to River Plate, rediscovers some scoring touch there, and right now, with a couple of goals, as Taffarel cuts in front of Fonseca to pick up the loose ball. Francescoli has been one of the heroes for Uruguay. A couple of goals, creating others. In fact, if it wasn't for his play, there was a risk that they'd even get past Bolivia in the quarterfinals. Foul against Uruguay. Bricio whistles. It'll be a free kick for Brazil, and Juninho getting set to take it.
Anytime you have one of your veteran players, such as Francescoli at age 33, performing the way he does.
Into space. Right near the end line. Tulio can't get there before it's kicked over. Double teamed by Gutierrez and Moas.
Anytime you have one of your veteran players perform the way he has, it inspires everybody else to maybe dig down a little deeper, figuring if he can do it at his age, I definitely have to do more.
Zinho, solid game against the U.S. in the semifinals. Getting set to left-footed into the box. This will curl towards Fernando Alves. Going towards the back post. Alves punches it straight up into the air. Bumped into Tulio. And it will be a foul and a free kick just at the edge of the 6-yard box.
We saw during the tournament this field is not in ideal conditions, and if that's going to hurt anybody, it's going to hurt Brazil a little bit more, being that their play is a little bit more suited for ideal grass and players like Juninho, who are tremendous dribblers. So obviously I think it would have been nicer to see this game being played on yesterday's field, which is an absolute carpet compared to this field. As you can see down both sidelines, there's been patches that were put in right before this tournament started and really haven't taken root.
Roberto Carlos throwing it in down into the corner, and Mundo tripped up, pushed and shoved from behind by Herrera. Tackle from behind. Roberto Carlos draws an elbow, and pushing and shoving, and Arturo Bricio earning his pay early on as both sides going at each other. Sampaio coming over, and it's interesting, the little Fonseca taken away by Sampaio. Dunga wins the ball and gets it back. Tulio to the outside, gets the return pass, just a little too much on it. Herrera gets there first, some pushing and shoving, and the foul will go against Tulio as Herrera's on the turf. That
may be the softest foul we see this entire game.
Fifth foul against Brazil. 3 of them against Uruguay. Midway through the 12th minute, Herrera receiving some treatment. For Brazil, the starting lineup: Tafarel in goal, Jorginho and Roberto Carlos on the outside, Aldair and Andre Cruz in the middle. Cesar Sampaio in the defensive portion of the midfield, with Dunga, Sinho, and Juninho creating. Tulio and Edmundo up front. Savio had started every game to this point, had drawn a lot of fouls, created some dangerous opportunities, but just seemed too hesitant to take the shot. That has not been a problem for Tulio.
No, every time Tulio has gone in, he's been lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time and create his own chances as well.
And to tell you the truth, from that replay, looked like a legitimate shoulder charge, maybe a little bit of a push. But Herrera, realizing that if he did not get the foul, Tulio would have had a wide open path back to the box. Aldair heading it up in the air, over the sideline. Looks like they're going to whistle a foul instead, though, and a free kick. Well, they'll stick with the throw. Tabaré Silva on the outside, lifting it in with the left boot, taken away by Sampaio. He'll leave it off, and they'll pass it up front. Juninho cutting in past Silva, splits the legs, and shielded. It should be obstruction, and it will be a free kick. But you're starting to see some of the magic that has mesmerized much of Brazil. Looks like a substitute perhaps coming on early. Aguirre Garay, a defender, might be coming in for Jose Herrera if he was seriously hurt. Sinho on the near side. Roberto Carlos tries to lift it up and above Eber Moaz. Brazilians hold on, even though he was unsuccessful. With the left foot towards the top of the goal area. Cleared out of danger by Gutierrez and headed back up into the air. Dunga comes in, and they're going to call a foul. Dunga apparently drawing the elbow. Sampaio having a few words, and Arturo Bricio saying, hey, I called the foul on them. Both of these teams coming in with 4 win and 1 tie. Elbows all the way around, and Poyet called for that one. 4th foul against Uruguay as Alves lines up his defensive wall. As the throw in into the corner. Mundo has the ball taken off of his boot. Throw in right above the corner flag. Roberto Carlos 22, Juninho 22, and Herrera does draw that yellow card for the hard tackle. That'll be at the same moment as Roberto Carlos's yellow. The tackle on Edmundo early on. Nice play by Roberto Carlos, but he can't get there. Shoved off by Mendez. It'll be played on, and a goal kick for Alves. Once again, setting the lineups: Alves in goal, Mendez, Herrera, Moaz, and Silva the defense. Porta, Gutierrez, Poyet, and Adenalfi had been scheduled to start, but Daniel Fonseca in the lineup. And the ball to the outside, sent across the middle, and almost knocked in, but knocking it wide. Andre Cruz surrendering the throw. And it looked like there were some Uruguayan players right there, Otero being one of them.
And Andre Cruz does a good job here of clearing that ball away from his own goal. He's facing his own goal. Many times you see defenders knock that right into their own goal. He did a good job of making sure that ball goes wide.
Near side, Francescoli, the header, cleared out of danger, still on the right wing. Enzo towards the middle, looking for his 3rd Copa America title. 83, 87, and hoping for 95. Tripped up, foul called. This one will go against Dunga, Brazilian captain. Uruguayans dressed in their familiar sky blue jerseys with dark blue shorts. Moving from the left to the right in half number 1. Francescoli setting up Fonseca earlier on in this tournament. The header over the bar, and Tafarel gathers for the goal kick intended for Otero, and he could not direct it on net.
And Uruguay has done a very good job here in the first 10 minutes of trying to establish the pace and not let Brazil establish that. If you let Brazil start to dictate from the first minute, it's very difficult to get them out of sync. Uruguay has done a very good job of pushing the play, pressuring Brazil, and not letting them look up and have time.
Headed back. Sampaio there to push forward to Edmundo. Nice touch, bangs it off of Mendez, lifting it up with the outside of the foot. Roberto Carlos is there, back heels it over the end line, trying to hold on to possession. They'll say it went off of Mendes, and another corner kick for the Brazilians, but some nice touch there with Mundo and Roberto Carlos. Last year played for Palmeiras. Next year, word is he'll be moving on to Inter Milan. Lifted up towards the back post, Alves. Grabs hold and sends it up quickly down the far wing. Jorginho, Aldair coming over to help. Into the middleman who drew the red card in his last time out. The man trying to settle the peace, and Roberto Carlos coming in late at Mundo. No doubt about the foul from behind on Herrera. And Roberto Carlos helping out his forward.
We're going to see a nice bird's eye view. Oh, we missed it. We just saw Roberto Carlos starting to fly into that tackle.
Yeah, in case you were wondering what type of boots he was wearing, you probably would have had a nice chance to see the bottom with the name all printed out. But the yellow card foul coming in the 6th minute against Roberto Carlos. Pushed forward, Otero takes it away. Deflection, back toward Francesco. Dunga comes away with it and lifts it up the near touchline with the left foot. It'll be a throw-in for Uruguay, and you can hear the crowd getting into it. Mendes with the throw, gets the return, lifting it forward, taken away by Sampaio, but handball, and it will be a free kick. Looked like Poyet just reached up. Tafarel was started from the goal area. Riccio says okay, and the Brazilians coming up the right wing. Juninho. Jorginho pushing forward. Instead, he'll go to the middle. Sinho. With all the offensive playmakers that Brazil has on the field right now, Juninho, Sinho, and on the outside, Roberto Carlos and Jorginho, it's going to be pretty tough for the Uruguayans to find out who to mark. The ball a little too long. It'll be a goal kick for Alves.
Well, that's been I think one of the success aspects of this Brazilian team. They have quality players everywhere on the field. In the center with Dunga and Juninho, and of course Jorginho and Roberto Carlos attacking up and down the sidelines. So it does spread out a defense.
Noaz coming out. Far side, Jorginho. Jorginho cuts back to the inside. Holds on to possession, dropping it back to Aldair, but not before a foul, and you see Jorginho acting out what he thought happened.
Hopefully the referee will take care of all this very soon, because you do not want this game deteriorating into a hackfest, because both teams have players that can kick, and that's not what this final should be about.
Up the right wing, Juninho lifting it forward, intended for Jorginho, but knocked out of bounds. A throw in for Brazil, about even with the top of the box. Juninho lifting it in towards the penalty spot, just over Tulio's head. Roberto Carlos on the left foot, blasts it through, deflected back. Off the Uruguayan player and out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for Brazil. Sinho will leave it for Roberto Carlos. Between Juninho and Roberto Carlos, you're talking about two relative young are the linesmen.
Today we're going to see what it truly means to play with a home crowd advantage, being that the Uruguayans have not lost in the stadium since 1932. You can imagine every tackle they win, every shot they take is going to be cheered upon by the entire stands, and that's something that Brazil has to contend with. But Brazil has played very well. They have a lot of veteran leadership. I've mentioned many times before, Jorginho and Dunga, in my opinion, are the backbone of this team and really dictate what goes on. And then you have the young players like Juninho and newcomer Edmundo, Roberto Carlos, who recently has been rumored to have signed with Inter Milan. A combination of youth and veteran players that Brazil has, it just makes this for a tremendous game, as you see what kind of crowd Brazil has to play against as well.
But Brazil has to be rather used to this, because almost every time they take the field, almost anywhere, the stands are bound to be packed. You can see a little bit of a delay as they get set to start this matchup. 65,000 people in the stadium here today. The temperatures in the lower 50s, and that is rather warm for what has been a wet and cold South American winter. The Brazilians dropping back towards their own zone, knocking it upfield where it's intercepted. pushed up forward. Let's take a quick look at the two goalkeepers in this matchup today, as Mendez setting it back into the Brazilian zone. Fernando Alves, the 35-year-old from River Plate, 4 wins, 1 draw, and a .50 goals against average. A foul could have been advantage, but they will call the foul, and it will be a free kick for the Uruguayans just on the edge of the touchline, as Taffarel on the other end lines up his defense. Quickly taken, they'll knock it into the corner. Deflection over the end line and a corner kick for Uruguay. Taffarel, 2 wins, 1 draw, and a .67 goals against average. He gave up 2 goals against Argentina. Those are the only 2 goals that have been given up by Brazil the whole tournament. Cleared away by the defense. Juninho coming over to try and pick it up. Can't get there in time. It'll be a throw-in once again for Uruguay. Taffarel with some brief problems against Argentina, but for the most part, the Brazilian defense has been rock solid. Throwing over Roberto Carlos will go over the end line. It'll be a goal kick for Taffarel. In fact, Taffarel had been forced to sit out the first 2 games because of a FIFA-mandated suspension. Dida, the young 21-year-old, steps up and promptly shuts out Ecuador and Peru.
There's another example. No matter who takes the field for Brazil, as I said before, you really can find 11 bad Brazilian soccer players.
Copa America